Or are impatient Americans too quick to forget real threats? And is there a growing sentiment to tell the government hands off, or just a small but vocal movement of libertarians and conservatives eager to prove they have growing political clout? Let's debate your rights and the politics of your safety with, from Atlanta tonight, CNN contributor Eric Erickson, the editor-in-chief of the conservative blog RedState.com. Here in New York, CNN national security contributor Francis Townsend, who served as President Bush's Homeland Security Advisor and serves now on the Homeland Security Advisory Board. In Provo, Utah, Republican Congressman Chaffetz, he sent a letter to the president today. And from Minneapolis, Democratic Congressman Keith Ellison. To the congressman first, and Congressman Chaffetz, to you first. Why is this gaining steam right after the election? Is it because Americans are growingly frustrated with this, or is it because conservatives and libertarians say, we have new power, let's use it?
Well, the problem is that Americans are being given a false choice. That is, give up every liberty in the name of security. And look, I want the planes to be as secure as possible, but we should demand that technology be more effective and less invasive. And there's no reason we should settle for anything less. No reason.
But what's your solution? 9/11 was a long time ago. You're a member of the United States Congress, and as you push the TSA, Congress has oversight responsibility. Have there been pressures to say, let's have new technology, let's find another way to do this?
Well, the point I've been trying to make is, A, the threat is very real, and we cannot diminish that. But let's do what the Israelis do. Let's start profiling terrorists. We've got to go after the terrorists. We have 2.2 million travelers, 450 airports, 50,000 TSA agents, and a machine that looks at people naked. That is not the formula for success. What we should be doing is put people through a metal detector and then have them walked by a bomb-sniffing dog. The Pentagon just recently completed a study and found that after spending $19 billion, the single most effective tool in finding a bomb-making material is the dog. That's what we should be doing.
Fran Townsend, when you listen to the congressman there, does he make sense?
He does make sense. And I think the American people are frustrated. We associate pat-downs and that sort of behavior with law enforcement, the way we treat criminals. The underwear bomber was, as you pointed out, almost a year ago. Why don't we have better technology? In defense of the government's action, they have deployed more of these scanners. They haven't done a very good job explaining, frankly, that they don't retain these images. They are screened away from where the public view is. And so they're trying. But they need to do better.
Well, Congressman Ellison, as the government tries and needs to do better, do you think that the answer is in technology, more technology at the airport, some new way of screening that perhaps is less invasive, or is it, as your fellow congressman suggests, perhaps that we're doing this wrong, that we should be doing more profiling, we should be using more intelligence outside of the airport to have a better sense of how to judge people and maybe select who gets more screening at the airport?
Clearly, it's both. But I wouldn't use the word profiling. It introduces the idea of discrimination, but behavior-based monitoring. Like, for example, in the case of Omar Abu Muttalib, his father indicated that he was a potential security risk. We need to have less siloing in our intelligence organizations, more harmonizing, more sharing of information, and more human intelligence that can help identify threats. You really can't get around it. There's no technological magic bullet. What there is just better intelligence gathering and sharing of information. And, of course, technology can play an important role. This piece of technology, I think, is too invasive and really is problematic. I think that our scientists can do better. We've got to continue to research how we can do this better to safeguard people in the skies without undermining their privacy.
Eric Erickson, come into the conversation. As you do so, I want to point out to our viewers, you're not only editor-in-chief of RedState.com, but you're involved in local politics where you live there in Georgia. I want you first, though, to listen to the woman who's ultimately responsible for this at the moment. Obviously, the president is most responsible, but Janet Napolitano, the Homeland Security Secretary, said today, and this was a noticeable shift in tone from the government, saying, yes, we understand a lot of complaints coming in. We're going to listen. We're going to be sensitive. We're going to try to be less invasive, but.
Forward, of course, we will listen to concerns. Of course, we will make adjustments or changes when called upon, but not changes or adjustments that will affect the basic operational capability that we need to have to make sure that air travel remains safe.
I mean, those responsible for this, I mean, they have a pretty ominous responsibility, and they do hear the intelligence, Eric.
John, they do, but there's a lot of illogic in all of it. Consider this. When you land a plane in New York, you land outside the city. But if you take Amtrak, you pull straight up into Midtown. No one checks my bags when I take Amtrak into New York or across the country. Or what about a Greyhound bus? The illogic and the disconnect there is problematic. Likewise, all of the security we're responding to happened from overseas. The people flying into the country putting liquid explosives in shampoo bottles, we responded by 3 ounces or less. People coming into this country wearing bombs as underwear, we responded by full body scans and pat downs. What happens when they start using body cavities, which people have said can happen? What happens when you have some of these results happen? How absurd will the TSA become? We know that the x-rays, the full body scans, can only detect things on the outside of the body. We should be going to behavioral checking. I realize we can't scale the full extent of the Israeli system, but we need to be looking at that as opposed to what we're doing.
Well, we're going to spend a bit more time on this. Before we take our first break, I want to go to the Congressman first, to Eric's point right there. Congressman Chaffetz, to you first, then Congressman Ellison, jump in right after, to the sense that when the government, we're in the middle of this debate now. It's a political debate, and it's getting a lot of attention, and we're right in the middle of the holiday season. But when you come back to work, if not before the end of the year, in January, what should the Congress do to essentially say, all right, let's put the heated rhetoric aside, let's all go to a room together and figure out what next?
I think we need to limit the use of the whole body imaging machine as a secondary screening device. I think we need to ratchet up and get the dogs in there as fast as we can. That is the single best way, according to the Pentagon, to detect these types of bomb-making materials.
Congressman Ellison?
You know, I tell you, we need to lower the barriers that exist between intelligence gathering agencies so that we can harmonize intelligence, share information that's out there. I mean, one thing about these terrorists, they like to talk a lot. We need to make better use of that and put it into effect so we can protect people on the airplanes.
I will continue this conversation in a moment, including a closer look at some specifics, including the episode that had Congressman Chaffetz fire off a letter to the president. But as we go to break, I want you all to listen here. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's reaction to these new airport screening procedures. This is what she told CBS Face the Nation. Is this undercutting the TSA's message?
Well, would you submit to one of these pat downs?
Not if I could avoid it. No, I mean, who would?